Hello guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Miracle, Mimi for short. If this is the first time seeing my beautiful face, you're welcome. And to all my returning viewers, you are the great MVPs. I love you to the back of moon. Wow. Well, if this is your first time, please hit the like and the subscribe button. So our next day is from Jordan Peterson. It said the cancellation, the making of Matt Rife before the cancellation. Let's check it out.
Okay, so first of all, you said you started doing open mics when you were about 15. Where?
The Columbus Funny Bone in Columbus, Ohio. I went on the comedy club's website when I kind of figured out open mics were the thing to start with. I don't remember how I found that out. But I remember going to their website, finding out it's 21 and up, as most comedy clubs are due to liquor license. And the owner's email was on there. And like a naive kid, I just emailed the owner. I was like, hey, this is my name, this is how old I am. I know I'm supposed to be 21 and up, but if I have like a parent guardian with me, could I come in to try the open mic? And any rational businessman would say, no, I'm not gonna risk my liquor license for some kid to come in here and tell jokes. Like, what could possibly come out of that? But for some odd reason, he said yes, and it allowed me an opportunity to go and practice and enjoy this new thing that I was just doing for fun. I had no idea anything like this could ever happen to me. It was just something I was doing for fun to like make my grandpa laugh.
And did you make your grandpa laugh?
Oh my God, he was my #1 fan. I miss him every single day.
Oh yes. Oh, so did you have a good time in Columbus doing this?
I did, but it's like most Midwestern towns, there's a ceiling, you know, and if you have bigger dreams, you have to escape. You have to go see what else is out there.
So tell me how your career progressed from Columbus. How many shows?
He was
did you
really
do?
young.
What was the arc of your career?
So I started when I was 15, and then I got a manager at a comedy club in Atlanta. Over Twitter, believe it or not.
Oh, look, well, Twitter was good for something.
I know, make or break you.
That's like the one time Twitter has been good for something.
Exactly. Well, this is
good
also
for getting
a time,
canceled, actually. If you want to get canceled,
it's kind
Twitter's
of only its
for that.
use.
Yeah, I know that.
Jesus.
That is its primary use.
What else is it? It's just negativity. It's the worst app. People who thrive on Twitter rarely do well in life. It's so bad. But this was when Twitter was kind of brand new. So what would happen was comics that I was a fan of would come through the state of Ohio, whether Cleveland, Toledo, Dayton, Cincinnati, or Columbus. And this was a time where Twitter was so new, you could access anybody. Like, this was a time when like Ashton Kutcher was like the only person to have like 1 million followers on there. Like most celebrities had maybe 10,000 followers on there. You could tweet to somebody and they would see it and they would respond. So
I just love the way he's just, the way he's talking with
I'd be like, hey, I'm a big
Jordan
fan of
Peterson,
the
the way
kid.
he's just
Can I do a
keeping
guest spot
quiet,
on your show?
repeating,
Some would say no,
saying what
some
he's
would
saying.
thankfully say
Like,
yes.
I just
So
love
who
the
gave you
respect
the
he has for Jordan
D.L.
Peterson. The
Hughley
way he's
actually
just
gave me
talking,
my
he's not
first
even
ever guest
interrupting
spot,
Jordan Peterson.
which
He's
was so
listening
funny
to
because
Jordan
when I was
Peterson.
15 years old,
And
my
Jordan
extent
Peterson
of
also is
my
also
D.L.
giving him
Hughley
his
knowledge
chance,
was
his
just
space
soul
to talk.
playing.
I just
When
love
he played a
that.
bathroom attendant.
He's just so
His smallest
respectful.
credit to date has to be. I had no realization that he was one of the kings of comedy, like one of the greatest to ever do it and go on one of the most famous tours of all time. But he was so kind to me. He gave me my first guest spot. My second guest spot was Finesse Mitchell, and then it was Ralphie May was a brother of mine. He's one that really helped me out in my younger years. But through Twitter, there was this comedy club owner in Atlanta who knew DL for a very long time. And he saw DL Hughley and I just going back and forth, joking back and forth with each other on Twitter. He reached out. My mom and I drove down from Ohio to Atlanta. It's like a 9-hour drive to come perform at his club for a weekend. Went there. We hit it off really well. He explained to me the things he wanted to do for my career, and I didn't know any better. So I was like, yeah, however you want to help. And my mom was also like, yeah, whatever keeps him off drugs, I guess. So
Did that work? Did it keep you off drugs?
until like my early 20s, yeah,
Okay.
I would
well,
say
that's
so.
not bad. That's probably better. That's a better time to start than like 12.
Job. Yeah, exactly. I'm from Ohio. I'm lucky I didn't brush my teeth with fentanyl growing up. It was bad. My hometown was so trashy. So he finds me on Twitter. We go down there, we meet, we hit it off, and he offers me to come down there the summer between my junior and senior year of high school. And I go down there and I live on a comic's couch for 3 months, my entire summer break. I go down there and I'm doing 9 to 11 shows a week. I'm going to the malls, I'm passing out free tickets, I'm hanging posters up to promote shows. I'm going in to the comedy club at 3 p.m. to like practice my set while he throws tennis balls at me and honks horns and jingles, anything he can do to distract me
Oh yeah.
a very
So that was
Mr.
part of
Miyagi.
that was part of the training regimen.
Exactly, exactly. And I think to this day, I think it helps me keep my composure in the pocket. Like I'm not thrown for a loop when somebody
Yeah,
yells out
right, right.
something.
That typical exposure therapy from a psychological perspective, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
way
Face what you're
fancier way to
afraid
say it.
of. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. So what way? Huh. So how did he know to do that? Do you think that's smart?
I'm not sure. He's a fantastic guy. His name's Gary Abdo. He's very prominent in the comedy community. He's helped out a lot of people starting out their career. Like he was very prominent in Chappelle's early years when he was like a late teenager.
Right. So he's
Earthquake.
probably seen people thrown
Yeah.
by hecklers and so forth and by trouble because you can't get
Absolutely.
knocked out of your groove.
Well, his comedy club down there was called the Uptown Comedy Corner, and it was notoriously known as like one of the harshest comedy clubs in the country. It was a tough environment. Like they either loved you or they would boo you off
Oh yeah.
stage.
Oh yeah.
So for me to go in there as a kid, yes, you have the novelty of like he's a kid, give him a chance.
Right. Right.
But
But only so far.
Yeah, so you got to get them in the first couple of minutes. Otherwise, they're not going to sit there and watch you do 5 or 10 minutes. They don't have that patience in them. So I go down there and I get trained in like one of the harshest environments possible. And in doing that, I meet more comics who are coming through the club. I would pretty much open for like anybody that came through the club down there. I met a lot of comics who lived out of LA. So then when I went back to high school for my senior year, I knew I didn't want to go to college. I knew comedy was what I wanted to do. So I flew out to Los Angeles and I took the CHESP, the California Proficiency Exam, which in certain states is kind of like college where you have to have a certain amount of credits to graduate high school. The CHESP is essentially a test you can take at any time that basically tests you out of high school. You've learned everything you need to learn.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yes.
that's a great option.
Fantastic. So I flew out there, took the test, came back. I had to wait like 2 weeks for my results, but I had a good feeling about it. So I was just going to school for 2 weeks and just like sleeping throughout class. I wouldn't do any of the work. I wouldn't take any of the
How
tests.
old were you at that point?
I just turned 17, maybe I just turned 17. I was maybe still 16.
And so that's after you came back from LA.
Yes.
Right, right.
We came back from taking the test, waiting for the results, got the results back at like the first week of January, moved out to my friend Eric Griffin's couch 2 weeks after that. So I was about like 4 or 5 months early from graduating high school, moved out there, lived on his couch for the first couple of months. Then my manager at the time, his son graduated film school. He moved out to Los Angeles. I stayed on his couch for the next year. And I was just going to comedy clubs every single night. I would go and just hang out. Some of them wouldn't even let me hang out inside until finally people would vouch for me. People wouldn't show up on the lineup. And where somebody was like, well, he's
All
here.
right, so you're
Just give
hanging
him a
around
chance.
enough to get your opportunity.
Exactly. But funny enough, sometimes I would get the opportunity to go on stage and I literally couldn't step foot in the comedy club until they're like announcing, and Matt Rife. And then I would have to run through into the comedy club, go on stage, and leave immediately after because I wasn't 21. So they still had to abide by like their own rules in a very loophole way. And in doing that, I just kind of stayed consistent in the scene. I was getting more and more prominent stage time. I started to book smaller and smaller, turning into larger TV appearances, which was some Disney stuff that led to a bunch of MTV stuff. And then after I left all my MTV stuff, I just became really dedicated to stand up and transferring over to acting and producing and developing and all that kind of stuff.
So what did you do for MTV?
My first thing I did on there was Wild 'N Out. I did 4 seasons of that. I was like the youngest cast member. It was right after Pete Davidson left there to go do SNL. They needed a white guy, and I happened to fit like that exact mold. Went on there, learned so
that's
much.
a very strange diversity hire.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Of
We're
course.
short of white guys. Yeah, let's call Matt.
Never
He's
hear
white.
it anymore.
No, that's not a likely diversity hire.
But it could not have been a better learning experience because I was a very insecure, shy kid, and I was going on a show with comics. This was the revamp of Wild 'N Out. This was after Kevin Hart, D. Ray Davis, Corey Holcomb, all these amazing, Cat Williams, all these fantastic comics had left the show and they rebooted it with a lot of comics I knew from the Atlanta scene who were monsters. Carlos Miller, DC Young Fly, Chico Bean are all killers on stage. And I had to compete with them. And I knew I couldn't, but I at least had to hold my ground. And in doing that, I just went through the gauntlet over there. Like everyone at that show turned me into a man with confidence on stage. And I'm so grateful for that. I can't imagine I would have gotten that experience anywhere else. So I did a few seasons on the show, and the show was fun. I enjoyed my experience on there, but I had a very niche role to play. Every joke I said had to be about me being the white guy on the show. If
Oh
I
yeah,
ever
that's
tried
a
to
very
step out,
constrained.
yes. Anytime I
Routine.
try to step out of it, people will be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I thought I was gonna do like a clever joke." And they're like, "No, no, 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 no. Do the thing you're here to do." And although I enjoyed it and I had built a little bit of a name for myself, I was like, "This isn't
Well,
what I want to do
that's
forever."
an interesting set of constraints, right? I mean, it's
Of
a very
course.
tight set of constraints, and one of the one of the facts that emerges from the literature on creativity is that you tend to get creative responses when people are constrained very severely. Best example I know of that is, so there's a Japanese poetry form known as haiku, which has very strict rules. Well, MIT nerds set up a website decades ago now that was devoted to haiku that could only be about the luncheon meat spam. And there's like 50,000 haikus. There's literally 50,000 haikus online in the online haiku spam archive. And they're hilarious, but partly they're hilarious because, well, it's bad enough that you have to just do haiku
Of
because that's
course.
like pointless and constraining to begin with. But
Yeah.
then to restrict it even further,
So
well,
specific.
yeah, well, it forces a kind of wit. And so I can imagine that having the constraint of only being able to make jokes about being the white guy must have also been one of the things that sharpened your wit.
I think so too. And I think, unless I'm misconstruing this, I think that's probably why crowd work works the best for me because I'm very constrained. Like I have to talk about, I have to answer what they're
Yeah,
saying to
yeah.
me with a funny response in association with what they're talking about. I don't have vast options. It has to be now and it has to be about
Right, right,
what they're
right.
saying.
Okay, so you said that you were a shy kid, and
Mm.
obviously the last thing, in some ways, that you would expect a shy kid to be doing is to be doing online stand-up comedy in front of live audiences and then taping that that's specifically devoted to crowd work. Because I
Hmm.
can't actually imagine a situation, you know, maybe if you threw someone on stage and said, like, sing naked, that would be about the equivalent of inducing self consciousness. So, how did you get to the point where, what did you have to do so that your shyness was no longer making you self conscious on stage? And how is it that you orient yourself towards the audience so you don't become self conscious when you're now you'll become self conscious because we're delving into
No,
this.
no, not at
No,
all,
so
not at
but
all.
so
This is
so
the
I'm curious.
cheapest.
Well, guys, like Mount Reef seems like a nice, cool, genuine, and good kid. He doesn't look bad. I'm just wondering why they were like trying to cancel him for what? Like, so someone cannot make a joke again. Wow, it's even good. You even count as you cancel him. He's become more popular. Yeah, you have already. Oh God, I don't really know what to say, but Matt Ray is just so smart and a good guy. Like I love the way he carried on his career, and I love the way his mom supported him. That's one of the huge things I just love from women. Always try to support your child's career because you don't know where that child will end up. You don't know where that child will be. Yeah, just whatever you see your son like trying to do or what he likes to do, engage with him, support him. But the thing is just so fun. I love everything. I just love the way him and the Peterson, like the way they were just giving that kind of son and father and son vibe. It was just so good, and it was so just so good and interesting to listen to. I really enjoyed it, and I'm just so happy for Mount Reef coming across Jordan Peterson because I know he's so lucky. Yes, let me say he's one of the most luckiest person to meet or have an interview with Jordan Peterson. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Watch, like, and subscribe to my channel, and have a nice day ahead. Enjoy yourself. Bye bye.